Welcome to our channel, where we update the fascinating details, in-depth analysis, and dramatic predictions of the young and the restless. With a unique, creative, and imaginative perspective, we will bring you closer to the secrets, hidden conspiracies, and shocks that can change the situation of Genoa City forever. Phyllis is a smart, sharp woman and never lets herself fall into a passive position. But this time, she underestimated the person she always thought could not control her, Victor. While she was busy trying to prove her innocence against a series of suspicions related to the shady business practices that she was falsely accused of, Victor secretly set a perfect trap. On the surface, he appears indifferent to the petty conflicts with Phyllis, but on the inside, Victor is plotting to remove her from the power chessboard in Genoa City. Victor does not tolerate those who dare to threaten his family, especially those who cause instability to the strategies he has carefully laid out. Phyllis, with her unyielding nature, has gradually entered the forbidden zone when trying to uncover the secrets related to Adam and the hidden plans in Newman Enterprises. That deep dive into the darkness leaves Victor with no choice but to act first. And he turns to Aristotle, a name that is not unfamiliar in the international underworld. Aristotle is not just a simple mercenary, but also a professional manipulator. He has carried out kidnappings, erased traces and manipulated the psychology of his prey in a cruel and sophisticated way. Victor knows that to defeat someone like Phyllis, she must not be defeated directly, but must be broken from within, from her own mind. The goal is not to kill her, but to make her disappear long enough for Victor to control the negative factors that are emerging from her. Phyllis receives an invitation to attend a technology conference in Chicago, where she has connections with some potential investors for her new project. Without any doubt, she sets out, hoping to expand her personal influence, while proving her independence without any powerful family behind her. But as soon as she enters the hotel where the conference is held, things take a strange turn. The key card that opens the room does not work. The hotel staff awkwardly apologizes and takes her to another room, which Aristotle has discreetly arranged with a monitoring system and anesthesia. The moment Phyllis set down her luggage, an invisible current was activated through the air conditioning system, knocking her out for a few short minutes. When she woke up, she found herself tied to a chair in a completely unfamiliar room, with no windows, no natural light. Only cold fluorescent lights and the sound of her own heartbeat echoing in her ears. Aristotle was not present, but his presence loomed over every corner. Phyllis had no idea where she was, no idea why she had been captured, and even less who was behind it. But deep down, she sensed, something bigger than a personal revenge plot was going on. She thought of Diane, of Jack, of Nick, but in the end, only one name flashed in her mind, Victor. While Phyllis was in custody, Victor skillfully gave ambiguous information to the media and her friends. He uses his connections to spread the rumor that Phyllis has gone into hiding after being caught embezzling money from her former employer. A number of fake documents are released to support this claim. Nick, initially skeptical, becomes skeptical when he cannot contact Phyllis and sees the seemingly clear evidence. Summer is adamant that her mother is not a traitor, and she begins to ask around, and her persistence may be the biggest threat to Victor's plans. Inside the prison, Phyllis is not physically tortured, but she is psychologically manipulated through constant recordings, distorted voices of loved ones, mixed with invisible threats. Aristotle wants to make her lose her sense of time, lose her faith in herself. Each day passes like a century. There were no mirrors to look at, no clocks to count, just erratic lights and vague questions from an invisible speaker system. The goal was to knock her down before she could even think of a fight back. Phyllis, however, does not give up easily. The initial days of panic give way to analysis, observation, and memorization. She begins to perceive time based on light cycles, sounds, and even the location of scratches on the wall, small signs but the only hope for survival and a fight back. Meanwhile, Victor thinks everything is under control. He begins to buy back shares of a project that Phyllis once invested in order to erase all her influence in Genoa City. However, Victor does not expect that Phyllis's sudden disappearance will provoke backlash from those who have had conflicts with her. Diane is suspicious, because no one knows Phyllis's fighting style better than she does. Summer begins to connect the dots, and together with Daniel, they hire a private investigator to investigate their mother's recent activities. When they approached a source in Chicago, a person who worked at the hotel Phyllis had been staying at, a piece of the puzzle began to fall into place. The security cameras had been disabled the night Phyllis checked in, and her hotel records had been altered to show she had never been there. It was all too perfect, and that was what made it suspicious. The deeper they dug, the more they sensed that a larger force was hiding something, a force no one dared to name. After nearly 3 weeks missing, Phyllis had managed to disable part of the electrical system in her cell, taking advantage of a glitch during a food change to attack the person bringing the food. Despite her injuries, she escaped down a narrow hallway to the back of a warehouse, where she eventually found herself in suburban Detroit, hundreds of miles from where she had disappeared. Without a phone, without a vehicle, she ran through the woods bleeding, but her will to live overcame all physical limitations. When she finally reappeared in Genoa City, the whole city was in an uproar. People could not believe their eyes when they saw Phyllis. Haggard, tired, but her eyes were as sharp and intelligent as before. She said nothing immediately. She knew this return was not just to reclaim her honor, but to defeat Victor in the same way he had used her, silently, patiently, and ruthlessly. But what Phyllis did not know was that Victor had anticipated her escape and had prepared an even more vicious backup plan. And what Victor did not expect was that Aristotle had begun to waver when he realized that Phyllis was a worthy opponent, and that his loyalty did not lie entirely in money. The story seems to have ended, but in fact it is just the beginning of a series of even more dramatic and surprising developments. Who will be overthrown next? Can Phyllis turn the tables and make Victor pay? All will be revealed in the next developments of The Young and the Restless. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our channel so you don't miss any hot updates. Thank you for accompanying us. See you in the next interesting articles.